Hello students of Standard 10th. Welcome to the digital campus of DU Mile Public School. Let's begin with an online session of science. Our today's topic is transportation in plants. Transportation is the process that involves the movement of water and necessary nutrients to all parts of the plants for its survival. Transportation is a vital process in plants. Trees transport all the nutrients and water it needs for survival from its root to the tip of the leaves. In the case of transportation in plants, the biggest constraint is water as it ends up being a limiting factor in growth. To overcome this problem, trees and other plants have the perfect system for the absorption and translocation of water. Plants contain a vast network of conducts which consist of xylem and phloem, which is more like the circulatory system that transport blood throughout the human body. Similar to the circulatory system in humans, the xylem and phloem tissue extend throughout the plant. These conducting tissues originate from the roots and move up through the trunk of trees, later the branch off into the branches and then branching even further into every leaf like spider web. Transportation occurs in three levels in the case of plants, that is, transportation of substance from one cell to another, long distance transport of sap with xylem and phloem, the release and uptake of solute and water by individual. Let us have a detailed look at the process of absorption and transportation in plants. The water is absorbed in two ways by the plants, that is active absorption and passive absorption. Let us start with active absorption. In the case of active absorption, water moves through symplast and it is absorbed according to the diffusion pressure. Deflect changes. The rate of absorption is slow. It compresses of osmotic and non-osmotic forces. The rate of absorption does not significantly depend on humidity and temperature. It mainly depends on humidity and temperature. The force required for the absorption of water mainly greater in the root cells itself. There would be a decrease in the rate of water absorption if the metabolic inhibitors are applied. Next one is passive absorption. The rate of absorption is fast. It occurs in rapidly transpiring plants. The movement of plant is through apoplast and it is absorbed due to transpiration pull and it is created due to the stress created in the xylem sap. The rate of absorption significantly depends upon rate of transpiration. The force required for the absorption of water mainly greater in the mesophyll cells. The water and minerals are transported in plants by two types of conducting tissues, that is, xylem and phloem. Xylem is a long, non-living tube running from the roots to the leaves through the stem. The water is absorbed by the root hairs and undergoes cell-to-cell movement by osmosis until it reaches the xylem. This water is then transported through the xylem vessels to the leaves and is evaluated by the process of transpiration. The xylem is also composed of elongated cell like the phloems. However, xylem is especially countable for transporting waters to all parts of the plant from the roots since they serve such important functions. A single tree would have a lots of xylem tissues. Next one is phloem. Phloem. The phloem is responsible for translocation of nutrients and sugar like carbohydrates. Phloem produced by the leaves to the areas of the plants that are metabolically active. It is made up of living cells. The cell wall of these cells form small holes at the end of the cell known as sieve plates. There are three means of transportation in plants. They are diffusion, facilitate diffusion, and active transportation. Let's start with diffusion. Diffusion is a transportation process that involves the passive movement of a substance from cell to cell or from one part of the plant to the cell. They do not involve in the movement of molecules takes place in a random fashion and in the expenditure of energy. It is a slow process. Here, the substance moves from higher concentration region to lower concentration region. The diffusion is the only means of transport of gases in case of plants. The rate of diffusion depends on the temperature, pressure, and mainly on the gradient of concentrations. Next one is facilitate diffusion. The gradient is a vital component of the process of diffusion. Hence, a smaller substance has to be diffused faster when compared to large ones. Facilitated diffusion is a passive process that comprises antiport, uniport, and symport. Antiport protein exchanges the solute by transporting them in and out of the cell. The main function of uniport protein is to carry signal solutes across the membrane. Symprotein ports protein transfer two different solutes simultaneously in the same direction. And the last one is active transport. Active transport pumps molecules against the concentration gradient. Here the energy of ATP is used to drive up the pump. The ATP donates a phosphate to a particular gateway molecules which then pumps the desired molecules across the membrane. The driving force responsible for the transportation of water and minerals in plants. It includes transpiration, force of surface tension, water potential gradient, and the force of hydrogen bonding between water molecules. Transpiration. Transpiration is the driving force between uptake and transport of water. It is the process of water evaporation through opening called stomata. This creates a pull by replacing the water that has evaporated. This pull is the xylem tissue extend all the ways down due to the cohesive forces. This negative water pressure that occurs in the root will eventually result in an increase of water uptake from the soil. Next one is force of surface tension. As more molecules evaporate from the water film, there is an increase in the curvature of the meniscus, which is turn increase. The surface tension. Water from the surface cells is pulled towards this area to reduce the tension. After that, next one is water potential gradient. The water moves from the root to the leaves because of the water potential gradient. Water potential gradient is highest in the water surrounding the roots and lowest in the air space with the spongy parenchyma. And the last one is force of hydrogen bonding between water molecules. The water molecules stick to each other by hydrogen bond. The above force are communicated to water molecules with the xylem through the hydrogen bonds. Now it's time to check your knowledge about today's topic. Here are some questions as your assignment. I hope you understand today's topic. We again meet with new video. Till then, stay at home, be safe, be happy.